Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
Two villains in this hand. One guy's a loose reg. Villain one, he's probably played 100% of hands. I see him there a lot. A lot of limping, pre-flop raising, probably playing 100% VPIP. He's in almost every hand. Villain two, I have no real read on. He's only been there for a couple over two, never seen him before. My image is I'm there probably 2 or 3 times a month. I've played with 2 or 3 guys at the table, but neither of these villains, I don't have any history of either of these guys.
Okay.
At this point. So the hand, villain one, who's a loose reg, raises to 10 in middle position. I'd say this $10 raise is kind of on the small side for him. The hands that I've seen him come in, at least for the few overs that I've been in, he's raised fairly frequently, have been in the more 15 to 17 range. So I'm kind of putting that in the back of my mind. It's a smaller raise for him. Button calls. Villain two calls in the small blind.
Okay.
And I call in the big blind with pocket sixes. As far as stack sizes, villain one, the guy in middle position who opened to 10, has 450. The button ends up being irrelevant, but he has 300, let's say. Villain two has 300, and I have 350 in the big blind. This is a 1-3, 300 cap.
Okay.
Flop comes out 7 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 3 of spades.
7 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 3 of spades. Is that right?
Yeah, and I have 6 of hearts, 6 of spades.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 7 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 3 of spades.
Yep.
The villain in the small blind checks. I check. Guy in middle position, the pre-flop raiser, bets 20.
Okay.
Button folds. The villain in the small blind calls.
Okay.
And I call. So the flop is now, or the pot is now 100. Does that seem right?
So he bet 10. He raised to 10 pre. He got 4 callers, and he's betting 20 into like 40 basically.
He got 3
on flop.
callers.
He got 3 callers.
Yeah.
So he's betting 20.
Yeah,
and
there's 4 in the hand.
Honestly,
yeah,
I would.
so he's betting 20 into 40.
I would probably fold the flop. I mean, did you consider folding the flop? Yeah, I mean, 7-3-4, the small blind calls. I mean, you've got a gut shot here to a 5. I mean, I think if you were heads up, I would certainly call. Like, if the small blind had folded, I would call.
Okay.
It is a little bit troubling that the guy bet a ragged board into a multi-ways. I mean, I don't know how aware
I mean,
players...
the only thing I'd say about this guy is that, I mean, he's been 100% pre-flop, and he's continued with every hand that I've seen him raise. You know, obviously his,
that's what I was going to say.
Stuff like that have been
I was going to say, like
less frequent, but I mean, he could easily have air here. He could have, I mean, he could really have, his range could be so wide here. Again, I know there's another guy that overcalled as well in the small blind, but to me, his range is so wide at this point as far as continuation betting that, but that's just, my initial read on him for being there for 30 minutes. So.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't know how reckless people are about c-betting. I would imagine that a lot of times people don't have much of an awareness of, they might just bet just because they're the pre-flop raiser. So, if that's the case and the small blind called, then, I mean, you are getting 4-1. I guess you could make a case where you could call. One of the other things, too, I will look at is if it's very close, I'll look back at the suits of my sixes, and then if you have a diamond, it's better than not having a diamond.
Right.
Here it doesn't look like you do, so I mean, if you were going to be close, that's another factor. So, anyways, you call. What does the turn bring?
Okay, I call.
Yep.
So the turn brings the 5 of clubs.
Okay, so you make a straight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So villain the small blind checks. I check. Initial pre-flop raiser bets 30, which is really small into 100.
Yeah, I probably I probably would just lead the
Sorry, go ahead.
turn, to be honest with you.
You would
At,
lead the turn.
at
Okay.
this at
All right.
this level, I just don't think it's going to get bet through all that much, and I think that
Okay.
people don't expect people to bet straight. So if the pot's 100, I would probably just bet 35 or 40 myself.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
just going to get checked through a lot. And the small blind,
Okay.
small blind's likely to have something, unless he's got
Right.
naked high diamonds. He could make two pair or something
Yep.
like that. But anyways, so he gets checked over to MP1. He bets 30. What does the small blind do?
False.
Small blind calls. Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
And it's over to
And
you.
so it's on me now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your question is, what should you do?
My question is, what should I do here? Yeah.
I would definitely raise. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
bet out. You got to bet from the guy. And the reason why I would raise is, what are you going to do on the river? I mean,
Right.
I guess you could do some sort of really strange play and call and then just bet a blank river and no one will know what the hell you have. But I would just rather just make it like 75 or something. It seems like the small blind is going to call. He's going to tag along. I would probably, yeah, make it like, well, you guys have what? You start with 350, 20. I might make it 100
Yeah. So. Okay.
to get more money in the pot.
Okay.
What did
So
you do?
I actually did raise.
Okay.
Yeah. So I check raised to 135.
135. That's a little bit.
May have been
That
on
could
the
be
large
big.
side
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because I'm not leaving myself a ton behind at that point. So what? So I started the hand with 350. Then, so at that point I'm 30. So I have 320 in my stack at that point,
Yeah.
and we're effective. So the small blind's effective at like 250, I guess, or somewhere around there, a little less than that.
So you make it 135, and what happens?
I make it 135. The middle position guy goes into some weird tank, which didn't fit his personality whatsoever. I mean, it was probably 2.5 minutes. It felt like 4 minutes. I've never played a 1-3 game where somebody's tanked that long because that just doesn't happen. And he eventually calls.
Okay.
Then the small blind also calls.
This is weird. So the small blind probably has a
So,
very
yeah.
large draw. I mean, they both could have draws
Right.
here. So the pot is now
Right.
the pot's
I think it's
400 on
505.
the. Okay.
I
And
think
you have
it's
like
505.
and you have like 150 left or 200 left, something like that.
I have, yeah, probably around that. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like 200.
I
200-ish left.
I probably see where this is going. What I was gonna say is that if the river is a diamond and the small blind moves all in from up front, you're probably gonna have to fold. If the river
Yeah.
pairs the board and the small blind, like if the river pairs the board, so 7-4-3, like if the river pairs the 7 and he moves all in from up front, I would probably fold too. Other than that, it is what it is. So what's the river?
Well, how about this river? The river is the 6 of clubs.
Okay, so it puts a straight out on board.
This is straight on the board.
Yep.
And the small blind immediately shoves for 135. Like without even hesitating.
So 135 and a 505, so
Yep.
and he can have he can have 8x of diamonds here. I mean, it's possible. He could have 7-8
Yep.
too. I mean, those are all hands that make sense. He can have
Yep.
He probably doesn't have 6-7 because you've got 3 of the 6s in your hand, and that would be a straight. But he could have 7-5. So it's a lot of 8x of diamonds. It's 7-8, and what was I saying? Oh, 7-5 doesn't matter. The two pairs don't matter. But yeah, 7-8 and 8x of diamonds, I think, are the ones that, or pocket 8s or some shit like that. And then you've got the guy behind you to worry about too. I think you probably have to fold because with that guy, I mean, if it's heads up, and he's betting 135 in a 500, then you're calling 135 to win 250. And those are what your pot odds are. It's one of these situations where you have to lay. Well, you're not laying a price because the pot is so big, but you're calling to chop, which is what happens quite a bit in split pot games that I play in. But here,
Right.
so it would be 135 for 250. So you'd be getting, you'd still almost be getting 2 to 1. So as long as he doesn't have an 8, 2 out of 3,
Yeah.
2/3 of the time you can call. But with the guy behind you, I think you probably just have to fold with the guy
Yeah.
behind you. So what
So I
happened?
think I threw this up on every street, but this is why I'm calling in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I did end up calling, and then villain one just sighed and said something like, "I feel like an idiot for calling the turn. I'm just going to call," and because he had me covered by a little bit more, and he called and then rolled over pocket eights.
Villain 1 had pocket 8s. What did the small blind have?
Yeah, he had 3-5 of diamonds. So he had a combo draw. So he had bottom 2 on the turn, and then a combo draw to the.
And then he just
flush.
said, "I'm gonna call anyway, so I'm just gonna bet." Yeah.
And then he just decided to shove. No. He's the one who shoved.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's gonna
Small
bet.
blind with the combo draw is the guy who shoved with the straight on the board, and he decided to shove.
And that's why I said. If it was heads up, I would call that guy. But with a guy behind you, you have to just. With a guy behind you, now you're hoping that they both don't have 8s. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right.
It's not the best spot, so I probably would have dumped the hand. But anyways, thanks for the call.
Got it.
Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.